Easy E, how are we?
Easy E, haven't been called that in a while. You must be in good form. You drunk?
Not quite. Yeah, it is a bank holiday weekend. I'm feeling good after yesterday's 10K. So I'm him and Hall when I go out there for a slow 16K. It's getting on in the day now, so I'm going to try and plan as we record this. It's a Sunday afternoon, so I'm going to try and get out there around 4 o'clock. Get out there, hopefully get close to a 16K. Come back, big roast dinner. Not gonna lie, a couple of glasses of wine tonight, maybe a few whiskeys. Sure, it's a bank holiday, and take it from there and try and get a kill the hangover kind of short 3-4K on a Monday. That's the plan anyway. That's the plan. But I've turned into an absolute lightweight, so I'm not too sure I'll be able to manage that tomorrow.
You're a better man than me. I just came back in. I missed my 10K yesterday, so I got it done today, and I was just contemplating life here now, to be honest. So yeah, maybe tomorrow I'll talk about exercise.
I know you did. Because I saw your post. I know you did it, but I was half doing it. The only day I did the 5K. That otherwise would have done the exact same thing what you did. Was going too fast for the first 2-3K and then realizing, I gotta slow this down, otherwise I'm not making the distance. Because I did the 5K and I went off at a stupid pace. I'm like, I will not be able to hold this, but then it completely wrecked, especially because it's a 5K, the short distance. With 10K, you've got some time to slow down for a kilometer or two and build it back and see where you're at. But with the 5K, I think I did it was something like a 4 minute for the first kilometer, and I was aiming for like a 4:20, 4:30. I'm like, and I just couldn't get my rhythm going from there. But you ran a 4:15 or something for the first 3K of your 10K run.
Yeah, it was between. I started at a 4:05 pace, and I was like, oh no. So then I slowed it down to a 4:20, and obviously felt a lot more comfortable. So the first kilometer was a 4:21, second kilometer was a 4:18, the third kilometer was a 4:19, and then I was kind of like, I haven't ran faster than. Okay, I did an 8K there during the week. That was the fastest I've ran, but the fastest I've ran is at between a 5 minute and a 5:50 pace, because I'm doing a heart rate training, so I'm starting to just run. I'm just running slow and long. I'm not doing any speed work. And I just realized as I hit the 3K, I was like, I looked down at my heart rate and it spiked into the 170s. I was like, oh dear. So I just decided to knock a good bit of pace off, and I actually use it as a kind of like a little challenge to myself to, one, could I combat my brain telling me to jump into a ditch, because I was recognizing people on the run and I couldn't stop. So it was either jump headfirst into a ditch or keep going. So, but I started to kind of work on see if I could, even just by slowing the pace, could I control it. Long story short, I couldn't. I was in the kink. But not used to going that quick out the gate. But it was kind of annoying, because if I had just stuck at a 4:30 to the 4:40, I probably would have come out with a 45 minute 10K. But so yeah, I played around with it a little bit, and then for the last 3K, I was really struggling. So what I started to do was I'd increase for 500 meters. I'd increase back to the 4:30, and then I'd reduce it back then to the 4 or the 5 minute, and just to keep my mind kind of focused on the next smaller task, I suppose. But I suppose the takeaways from it is, in olden times gone, if I found myself in that situation, I would have stopped. I would have stopped the 4K. I would have stopped the 5K and said, no, that's enough. I made a mess of this. And so kind of happy with the willpower of, I've been in shitty situations like this before. So we'll just keep going, and then starting to play the little mind tricks with myself as I settle in. And I think one thing I've noticed with myself is I'm not really settling into these things until 6 or 7K. And then it was around 7K, I actually felt a hell of a lot more comfortable. So it's because I'm doing the longer, slower runs. But it's it's definitely interesting to see. When I was in the States, I was doing a lot of the shorter stuff and intervals. And I ran a 10K at a 4:10 pace over in the States, 4:05 to 4:10. And that was only in November. So, it's amazing how quickly that can disappear when you change the style of training you're doing. For me, no, but that's just for me. Other people, I know people out there, they won't run from one end of the year to the other. They'll still go out and smash a 5K in a sub 20. There's just people have that, and not me. I do not have that ability whatsoever.
It's mad the mental game behind it, because I was running the 10K, the Mayday 10K there yesterday, and 2-3K into it, I was thinking, what if I just went for a 5K and got a 22:30? I could probably push a bit harder, get 22:30, and then just be an absolute king from there. I was thinking that. I was thinking, genuinely, it'd be much easier now if I was 3-4K into this. I just got hit by a van and I could stop and have an excuse just to stop and be happy with it. I just was like, but I don't know, there's nowhere around. I was just doing laps of a flat area for 3-4 laps of it. And genuinely, my thoughts did go back to the conversation me and you had after I messed up that 5K a good couple of weeks back, 6 weeks back this stage, where it does take that 2-3K to kind of settle into it and try and settle and slow yourself down. Like that middle 3 to 7K was just absolute torture trying to settle into a good pace. And once I got past the 7K mark, I was like, okay, I can go back. I can afford to go to a 4:50 5-minute pace and get my target. My target was 47:30. I knew I could get under that if I just settled at a 5-minute pace from there and finish out. But like you said, it's such a mental battle more so than anything else, just to force yourself to keep going. Because had I just stopped that 5K, I'd be able to tell you, you know what, it wasn't in the legs day. I just hadn't got it. And lie to you and to myself saying it wasn't the legs, wasn't there with the breathing, I couldn't do it, and that's it. Whereas that mental battle, trying to keep push yourself a little bit further to keep on going from there.
Yeah, I was even hoping a convoy of tractors would just come down this narrow lane so I'd have to jump into the ditch. Like my brain does funny things, and I suppose for people who start running, you never lose that feeling of feeling like a crap runner. Like it's when you change it up, like I'd run all day, like as in at a 5 to 6 minute pace, I do easy. But my ego keeps getting in the way. But it's when you try and increase the pace over the shorter distance, it's a different kind of run. It definitely, you feel like you're starting all over again when you switch back into the training. And I suppose more times I actually did get annoyed with myself a couple of times. And again, I ran a marathon at a 4:40, so I'm kind of like, how did I run a marathon? But it's all about time and patience. I'm putting in a lot more time on the bike than I am on the runs. And you just kind of have to give yourself a break as well. So for anyone is just starting or restarting, the reason we ran the May Day 10K in the Strava Club is it's a benchmark. So let's see what we can do now over the summer. So what I would like to do is, and I don't know if anyone else is, I remember how I felt at 3K. I remember how I felt at 5, like you. I was like, well, if I just stop now and blame tractors or a badger came and attacked me in broad daylight. But any excuse just to stop. But if I remember all those feelings, what hopefully will happen is when I go and do in 4 weeks' time another 10K and I get to 5K, I'm like, ooh, I'm still feeling good. That's when you know you're improving. That's when you know you're getting back up that fitness for the quicker pace, and that's what it is. And it does come and go, but you have to. I'm terrible for beating myself up. If I don't train for 2 days, I'm like, I'm so fat. I haven't done anything. But you have to just like relax. It does come and it goes. You have to take your off days. You have to have your good days. And it was just, I didn't even know your time. I thought it was. Because I know you. I remembered 47:30. But I just hit the watch as I hit the 10K, and then I went and looked at your post, and I was like, no way, I stopped the watch at the exact same time as you. Now, mine says 3 seconds quicker. I'm just going to throw that in, but then you stopped yours 30 minutes later or a little bit later. But
Your Strava says 9.99K. We're gonna get technical. Mine says 10:02 with the 3 seconds later. So according to Strava, you didn't do a 10K. Listen.
But according to
hit your points there. Like the different cycles throughout the year in terms of training cycles. Like we had Simon Greer on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about breaking his training for the year into different cycles. And at the moment, like you're doing a lot more of the actual cycling. I mean cycles as in different training plans for 6 weeks or 8 weeks, whatever it is, and basing it on different things. So you're like most of your Strava activities right now is cycling and that turbo trainer and all the kind of stuff you're doing there. So you're going to have different goals when it comes to a 10K, and then you can go, right, that's my benchmark now. Maybe for the next 6 to 8 weeks, I want to focus on improving those 10Ks where your intervals might, maybe not. I know on my end, I'll be focusing more on getting faster in 10Ks and even closer to 10 miles and that until we get to the end of July. And then at the end of July, knock on wood, we'll be 16 weeks away from the Dublin City Marathon, and then everything goes towards marathon training from there.
Yeah, I suppose for me at the minute, I'm on a base builder is what it's called. So everything is slow and long and just it's just about building up that base fitness. So there's the idea behind it is it's not so strenuous, so I'm able to train nearly every day. And that's the idea behind it. Monday is my only day off, but if people are following me on Strava, you'll see I didn't do anything for the last 2 days. But it's work gets in the way sometimes, and that's okay too. But it's I'll catch up. I'll do a training session on the Monday where I'm supposed to be off, and that's the best I can do. But everything is so looking at my week next week, Tuesday is kind of an interval session. There's 12 intervals on it. It's an hour long. And again, I'm supposed to be able to do a swim, but there's no pools open, so I won't be doing a swim. Wednesday then, there's a base run for 45 minutes. And it's called a base run because it's just a cruise. That's all you're doing. You're just putting on your shoes and going out. Then on Thursday, I have an hour 15 cycle, followed by a run. So it's a brick workout for 30 minutes. And again, that run is really slow. It's just getting your legs used to coming off the bike. So this is the base builder, and this is what it is for the next 6 weeks. And although I love doing the 10K, I couldn't say no to the 10K. Realistically, the 10K didn't really suit the training plan, and that's why I took a day off and work, and you kind of rejigging the plan myself just to be taking part of it with everyone. But when you go through these cycles, as Simon was saying, and it was a good point he made, and it's good. It's good for people to know that you. And again, it kind of hits the point that you can't be a 20-minute 5K fit. Not everyone can be. I can't be 20-minute 5K fit all year. Yeah, it depends on what your goals are. It depends on what you're trying to do. For me, I want to be the best at doing 5K, but I also want to win the marathon as well. And you can't do it all. You can't. And like even still, I want to have big, massive arms and an 8-pack. But then, I'm losing weight by the day because I'm training 2 hours a day. Like it's just not. I have to pick and stick really, and it's so that just kind of explains in terms of what I'm doing now and why. Because people are like, well, why are you struggling to get a 10K and you're always doing runs and stuff? But when we go into my next phase, into the moderate build, then pacing starts to come into it. The heart rate starts to be managed. The endurance base is there, and then we can start pushing the boundaries a little bit. So hopefully, as you said, come the end of July, when we start looking at those 16 weeks out, I would hope that I'd be starting to look at a 42-minute 10K easy, So it's stuff like that is just kind of to explain. So my goal is for the half, it's the middle distance Loch Ultra in Galway on the 12th of September. So it was realistic. We were going to go for the Ironman, as you know, Shani, but realistically, like you have to, there's a lot more going on in the world. So it is a realistic goal. And it's a nice builder as well for myself, particularly with the pools not opening in July, so it makes it a little bit more realistic in terms of training. So it's I suppose, long story back around. Don't stick to your plan, no matter what your plan is. And obviously, if you want to have a little bit of fun, don't beat yourself up. I'm not beating myself up. I sat in the chair. I was very grateful for the chair after the run. I was in the jocker, but my ego is actually well intact because that's not my goal. My goal isn't to run the quickest 10K.
I think we've had a lot of great guests on the podcast over the last 59 episodes we're on now. But one takeaway I knew it, and I know from my own training and just strength training, whatever, but it just really hit home when it came to running was when you had that interview with Tom Dixon. And, he said he did a 38-minute 10K. And he's just like, I'm not a 38-minute 10K runner all year round because he's got all these different things going on and it goes with peaks and valleys and all the rest. And look, we always get in our heads, I do as well, and just the lack of logic and common sense comes into it. Once you've hit that distance, whatever it is, whatever your goal is, like, okay, it's a benchmark and you're only going to improve on that. And that's only the case if you're focusing just on running with that goal to get better. But there's always different goals for different parts of the year. Like to go back to Simon, in the winter, just because it's extreme, like he can't do certain runs because of the winter and the snow and all the rest. So he's got to concentrate in, indoor kind of training. And for example, even with yourselves, so with the pool not being there, you can't focus as much on the swimming as you would like. I actually passed the 40-foot the other day. I would not go for a swim there for love nor money. I don't know how you do it. I was the last time I was in the water. I think I've talked about this before in the podcast. I was in Portmarnock. It was August, so technically the water should have been warm there. My ankles down there froze off, and I was like, I'm not doing it. I just haven't got the tendency to do it. And anytime I'm in the water, I know this maybe one person could relate to it. I don't know, is there lack of blood flow down there? What's going on? My ankles freeze to death, and I'm like, no, can't do it. No way, not doing. So I don't think I'll ever do it a half Ironman, quarter Ironman, 10th of an Ironman. Just get rid of the swimming stuff altogether. I might do it one day.
Yeah, it's I'm not very comfortable in the open water. But I'm getting there. So people are like, "Oh, pools are closed. Go out to Sandymount," but there was restrictions up until a week ago.
Yeah.
So, but to be honest, I don't think taking on the sea when I haven't swam in nearly a year is probably the best idea. But the wetsuit does help. It does very much help keep you warm. But I'd be like you, my hands and feet within 10 minutes are gone white, and they start to sting. So, but the wetsuit makes a massive difference when you're going out there for a swim. But in terms of confidence building, I am going to have to get out there, but I am going to wait until towards the end of May because it's everyone's excited at the minute. I went out there for a stroll the other day, and it was just too busy.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna let people just get it all out of their system for the next little while after 10th of May, and then I'll try and get back into the pool for the month, and then from June, July on, I'll start getting out for a sea swim once a week, just to build confidence. To be honest, I'll do most of my training in the pool because, like the indoor turbo trainers, there's easier metrics to follow when you're doing 100 meters. You can count 4 touches of the wall. It's now I'm not saying you can't do it in sea, and people do, and fair play to them, but it's just not my comfort ground. So I'd rather do my training and then hold on for dear life for the 90 and 100 meters of the race. But I will get one swim in the sea in a week just for my own confidence. And that's all it is. It is just confidence training in the water. But yeah, it's definitely different when you go out there into it. And most people, it's funny, it's particularly for Irish people, like we're terrible swimmers for people who live on an island. But then everyone's like, "Please live on an island." It's like, yeah, would you ever try and go for a swim in December?
Yeah, no way.
But it's it's something that we'll have to work towards. But again, everyone who's listening to this, do what you can. I spent many over the last few years with us, and from listening to me, Seán, just being very hard on myself for stuff that's out of my control. So you just make do what you can and just keep progressing. The only thing I change now is if I miss a day, I used to beat myself up, and that could lead into missing another one and then a bad session. Now I just try not to let myself miss more than 2 days. That's my cutoff. I can't let myself go more than 2 days consecutively without doing something. And it could be a walk. But once something is done in terms of fitness and getting out and getting active, and I think it's a good method for people who are average Joes like ourselves and are just trying to be on a fitness journey. Like we're not appealing to athletes, let's be honest, but we're trying to encourage people to be active. And if you can just not let yourself go more than 2 consecutive days without doing something active, you're going to be on a good path for the summer.
And I think with that, when we've talked about this, actually, where I stating it is one of the things that I know for myself keeps myself on path more than anything else is just having those goals set. So like I have been admittedly lazy the last week or so. I'm not going to lie. It was the COVID blues and checking Twitter every 5 minutes to see what the story was, the restrictions and stuff in terms of work and everything that goes with it. So I haven't done a whole lot, but the last 5-6 weeks, the goal has been, okay, this 10K, let's see what I could do. And then the goals from there is moving on towards Dublin City Marathon and setting little goals there. But just having a purpose to keep getting out there and getting at it. And like yourself, that purpose is getting towards the half Ironman in September. So that's what's keeping you on the bike over and over again. You may not think it in each and every session, but there is times you're kind of like, building towards that long goal and also somewhat enjoying the journey as well. Like I said, it's not like we're fucking athletes getting paid to do this. You have to get some sort of enjoyment out of it. That doesn't mean that every session is going to be enjoyable because, like you said, you're in a kink doing the 10K. And half the time I want to get hit by a van. Doesn't mean that sounds like it was very enjoyable doing those runs, but those runs every now and then, and you feel great when they're done, is building towards that overall purpose, that overall goal. And you have to have some sort of enjoyment in wanting to achieve that goal rather than, online or social media, whatever it is, saying you should enjoy it, or seeing pictures of the 40-foot and going, oh, that sounds cool for the Insta, but if you don't really enjoy it, get a kick out of it. Like I know I wouldn't. There's no way I'm heading out that way.
Oh, what gets me is all these athletes that I follow that are absolutely shredded, and I'm like, oh, I want to be like that, and then I realize, I work 14-hour days sometimes, and yeah, okay, I wish it was my job to be paid and have dietitians and everything else around me telling me what to eat, when to eat, and look,
it'd be miserable.
To a lot of them.
It'd be fucking miserable that shredded.
Huh?
It'd be miserable that shredded. Imagine being 7-8% of body fat and then going home and looking at a cupcake going, can't go down that road or have a few beers, something like that, because you won't be shredded. You have 2-3 beers, you're going to be bloated, and that shredded look is gone. Forget about it, pal. So I wouldn't want to do that. Like, I look at it for 1 second, I just know enough to go, you know what, they're shredded probably 1 hour a day after a training session. They're water depleted, they look great, take the picture, feel like we talked about the other week there in the podcast with Catch and Stuart, you know, being that shredded and that weak because you haven't got enough fluids and stuff in you. You look great for the photo and then bang, you're at it again. It's like pro fighters when they're in that week, that fight week, and they're going to saunas and everything else, trying to get their weight right down, and then that 24 hours after they've done it. And you've seen the severe cases where people go up to the weighing scales and they're collapsing, they're getting help going up to it. Like, that's the extreme levels. Obviously, not everyone's that way, but they try and go so much down in weight limit to go back up, and they look shredded. Even look at Conor McGregor, because his weight class is so in terms of he's like when he was 145 and he went up like the day before the fight, and you can look at the pictures, he looks very, very shredded, but also very, very skinny at the same time and unhealthy. So, and the next night he's put on all the weight, he's 20 pound heavier, he looks in great shape from there, you know. So, but I went on a bit of a rant there, but I wouldn't want to be shredded all the time. Obviously, I want to look good and stuff like that in the front of the mirror. I'm a guy, I've got an ego and all the rest, but all that shreddedness and then not to have a beer and a bit of whiskey and enjoy myself on a Sunday evening, not happening.
I love my Chinese and my beers too much, but I only do these races just so I can eat Chinese and drink beer, to be honest with you. But yeah, it is interesting. It is nice to have a goal again on that run today, and it is, I suppose, if we were to say something, probably the theme of this is having a goal and being fair to yourself. But the goal is the key thing, because I kept thinking to myself, even on that run when I wanted to stop, I was like, come on, you want to do a half Ironman, you want to do this, come on, hold on in there. There's going to be times and that's going to be horrific. Just hold on another kilometre, wait for the next beep. And sure enough, the watch beeps, and you're like, all right, another 500 meters. You know, like the goal can be to put your shoes on. The goal can be get out to the door. Just don't break down. And I think a lot of people break themselves down into looking at the task as a whole rather than just starting the first thing, you know, and that, you know, like limit to where the goalpost is, and then just keep pushing it a little bit further on yourself, and eventually you'll get there. So it's so I think even talking to yourself this morning, I was like, I have to do this 10K. And it was just like, but as soon as the shoes goes on, that's it. That's part of the goalposts. And it's once the shoes goes on, that there is only one option then. Like, I'm not turning back once they're on. So I always try and get the shoes on. But it's I suppose it is nice to recap. We've listened to a lot of phenomenal people. I feel very good about nutrition after last week as well. And in terms of being a bit more easy with myself in terms of food. And I've been looking at all the the own brand stuff now, and in fact I found a mayonnaise that's even less calories. Yeah,
nasty. No.
So yeah, I'm gonna be flat out on it. But this week hopefully we'll start getting a couple more meals. See, what happens is, I know everyone loves my food posts, but I don't put up many, because once I find something I like, Sean, I just eat it for weeks. I just eat the same thing. I'm eating the same chicken wraps, the same spice bags. I'm eating the exact same thing for the last few weeks. So I'm like, I can't really post it again. So this is why we haven't got millions of Instagram followers, because I'm boring. I just have 5 meals and eat the same thing. But I might try to create a couple of new things next week, just to give some ideas to people for the summer. Maybe a barbecue edition, who knows? But yeah, well, it is looking good. And as you said, I rang you straight away, decided I'd beaten you by 3 seconds, but even though it was the exact same time. But I could barely breathe. I even said to you, I was like, Sean, I can't even open my eyes at the minute. I'm in a kink. Yeah. But I feel good now. And that is why we do it. I'm sitting here feeling good now and about to go to work on a bank holiday Sunday. And it's the job is done, the exercise is done. And no matter what happens for the rest of the day, I know it's in the bag, and it's always a nice feeling. So if people are feeling a little bit lazy or using the other excuses, just try and get it done early, and the rest of the day will look after itself and you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, 100%. I should have done that myself today, but sure, look, I was I just getting around to do it. I had a bit of a lazy day, and then I got up and fed me chickens and watered them out, and I was like, I do some online coaching and stuff instead, and you know, it's just like I get it done in the afternoon. The afternoon turns into the evening. We'll see how it goes. So I'll try and get out there, get a little bit of a run there. Yeah, I think that's that. We will pretty much wrap it up there. I just want to say, actually, just you're talking about community and stuff. I think that's one thing that's really changed me in a year and a half is having so many people that even just through the group and that are going out there getting runs and just changing my whole mentality and aspect of running. Because I used to be the guy that was like, you know what, running takes up too many hours a day. I don't want to go towards fast runs. I did a post this recently. It was kind of like I wanted to find the quickest way to get it done. And there's different theories out there in terms of CrossFit endurance and all the rest, where you could just do the high intensity sprint kind of runs or running up hills and stuff, and get rid of the long run. Because the long run, while you might be running for an hour and a half, 2 hours, you get changed, get ready to go out there, shower and clean up afterwards. It take up a lot of your morning, a lot of your day. And I always looked at it as kind of, oh man, that's just too much. I would like to be able to say I could do a marathon, tick off the box, but that's just too much of my time, too much of the weekend to do that. Whereas now, looking back that way, I was like, well, that led to a lot of injuries, a lot of calf issues that I've talked about, documented in this podcast over the last 59 episodes. But as well as that, it took away the focus of why I should be doing it in terms of just enjoying it, as well as not just thinking about the end destination, not just thinking about cross the finish line. And I suppose the goal back there was doing it under 4 hours of marathon. It's just enjoying that process where you can get out there, you can kind of, I forget the exact quote we put up in the running group this week, just kind of unwind your mind in terms of, different things, thinking about just getting more out of the run than just that final destination, getting that little bit more enjoyment out of it. So I've had a complete different mind shift to running over the last year and a half in terms of that. And to your point, going slow to go fast, that you had from day one that I didn't really take up until the last, I'd say 3-4 months, really. That's kind of stuck with me a lot more in terms of tempos. Like, I've only ran a 10K faster once than I did that day. That was actually a day in the Phoenix Park 3 years ago. It was the evening run when you were hopping my heels through the whole thing. I suppose I felt like I was getting chased by a fucking, I don't know what. And that probably, motivated me or put the fear of God in me to make sure I'd go faster. And I was in kink after that. And then I kept that tempo run running at those fast paces without doing the slow runs. And my calves went. And back then, I didn't know why. I thought it was just miles to the legs and all the rest. It's kind of like, no. We put a post in I know I'm going a bit of rant here, but we put another post up in the running group about how nearly 50% of people get injured doing runs. And that's not athletes, that's just all levels. And I do think a lot of it is because people are constantly doing tempo runs, are constantly aiming to beat the next person in Strava and stuff like that, instead of saying, you know what, check the ego at the door. And like we talked there a couple of weeks ago with Simon on it, it can be tough to check your ego at the door, do a 10K in like an hour or an hour and 5 if you know you can do a sub 50, and then seeing the next person on the screen doing a 10K in 48 minutes, whatever it is, and then them thinking, oh, I could run fast than that guy. And they don't. It's in your head. And you're thinking that. You're like, mother, I really want to get faster than that person. But it's just checking the ego at the door. And then every couple of weeks, just like we did there at the Mayday 10K, just going, you know what? Where are we at? Where is this baseline? Hitting that baseline and going, okay, now I'm at this point. I can go back to my slow runs, knowing that that's in the back pocket, combining them with intervals and keep building. And maybe 6 weeks' time, have that little goal again. And then I keep adjusting towards whatever the overall big goal is. For yourself, it's that half Ironman. For myself, it's a Dublin City Marathon. Eric, anything else to add before we wrap up this episode of the podcast?
That's it completely. And again, it is just a benchmark. It is just a check-in. And as you said, it is a philosophy of go slow to go fast. And people are starting to listen. And I'm seeing a lot more people and a lot of our clients start to hit some of their best times. And they've been going slow. So you need to look after the body and as Simon said, and it was a great little piece that Simon had put in on the episodes, and if you haven't heard it, maybe go back and have a listen to that episode where he says, cardiovascular catches up quite quickly. The heart will catch up, the lungs will catch up, but the body mightn't be there for the tempo runs if you discuss. So, you do need to allow that time to build, and that is important. Allow yourself that time to build. Don't get shin splints from going hard from day one. Go for your walk, run. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. But that's all from me, Seán. It's been nice. It is nice to take a break from the interviews every couple of weeks, just to kind of check in with how we are. We hear so much greatness, and it's just, I kind of like to tell people that, it's not all rosy for us, even when we're training. So it's just, hopefully people benefit from listening to us on the how we're just doing the everyday while trying to do this as well. It's I hope people gain benefit and a bit of comfort from it as well, to know that me and you're drinking whiskey and beer and eating pizza and just going for a couple of runs badly. So
exactly. I suppose the last couple of weeks could have been a bit of information overload, so have us two gobshites talking ahead for a good half hour or whatever it's been. Guys, I hope you're enjoying your bank holiday weekend, or if you listen to this after Monday, I hope you've enjoyed your bank holiday weekend, getting right back on track with your running or whatever it is, whatever those goals you're setting for yourself, guys. Things are looking up, restrictions are easing, we're getting back into a good place again, guys. Hope you guys are having a good time. Hope you've enjoyed this episode of the podcast. That's it for myself and Easy E. Take care.
Yeah, bye.